Welcome to the G.L.O.E podcast, where we talk all things God, life, the ups and downs, organization, because chaos is not cute, and entrepreneurship, aka chasing those dreams. Here, we glow boldly and live purposefully. I'm your host, Angel, and around here, we keep it real, mixing faith, strategy, and a few laughs along the way. Whether you're trying to get your business together, organize your life, or just need a little motivation, you're in the right place. If you've been hanging around for a while, welcome back, and I hope you bought a friend. If you're new here, welcome. Get comfy and stay a while. Today, we are talking about a form of self-care, and that is therapy. Before we get into this episode, I just want to say that I have never been more happier that my podcast is audio only than I am in this moment right now because I look a hot mess. I have braids in my hair, and so I'm taking those out tomorrow. But the last time I had braids, I learned that you should actually wash your hair before you take the braids out because it helps with all the gunk and the buildup and stuff that you have in your hair from all the oils and stuff like that you've done. And I had forgot about it until earlier today when I was trying to start taking some of them out. And I was feeling all the like buildup in my hair and the gel and stuff from them. And I was like, oh, I need to wash them. So right now I am sitting here with my hair wrapped up in my PJs, looking a mess. So grateful that you all cannot see me right now. And so grateful that, I didn't go into the talk show biz. And got a podcast instead because I can literally show up looking like whatever. And you guys have no clue unless I tell y'all. So yes, there's your visual of me right now. But all right, but for the episode today, I want to talk about something that we say we prioritize, but that we often put at the bottom of our to-do list. And that is self-care. I've talked about self-care on the show before. I've had other people on the show that have talked about self-care, but this is a different form of self-care. I'm not talking about the spa day, skincare routine, cucumber water, all of that type of self-care. I'm talking about the deep, uncomfortable, this is going to make me cry, but I need it kind of self-care. And no, not the I'm going to go cry in my shower, because I'm sure many of us have been guilty of that. The shower used to be and still is, when I feel the need for a really good cry, my place to go to. But I'm talking about even deeper than crying in the shower or standing in the mirror crying and talking to yourself. And don't act like I'm the only one, because I know that we have all done it at some point in time. I'm talking about therapy, actually healing, the messy part of taking care of your mental and emotional health that we often just push to the side. And I've been to therapy before. I don't know if I've talked about it on the show a lot or not. Maybe I mentioned a few times, but I've gone to therapy before. And my first experience with therapy, it was definitely an experience. I was in a very rough place emotionally. This was in 2019, the first time that I went. And I was just in a rough place emotionally. I finally mustered up the courage to ask for help. First, the job that I was at, the insurance that I had, it was just crappy. And so every place that I called is like, oh, we don't take your insurance, or it'll be like, I don't know, like $200 per session or something like that. I'm like, who can afford that? So luckily, a couple of months after I decided that I was ready to take that step for therapy, I actually did get a new job that had better insurance that allowed me to see a therapist, and it wasn't going to cost me an arm and a leg. It took several months, several phone calls, lots of Google searches to finally find a place that did not have a wait list that was 6 months long, which I just thought was crazy. Like, if I'm calling you and telling you that I need therapy and you're being like, oh, cool, we can get you in 6 months. Well, ma'am, I need it right now, which is why I'm calling today. Like, I'm sorry I didn't schedule this for 6 months now and be like, ooh, in 6 months, I'm going to need a therapist. Let me start planning that now. Like, no, I was like, oh, okay. So I finally found a therapist. I had read the reviews on her. She seemed really great. It wasn't a referral or anything. It was just someone that I found online. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, I'm doing the work. I'm showing up for myself. I feel like I'm getting somewhere. I feel like I'm having a breakthrough with this. And y'all, after 4 months of seeing this therapist, she literally left me hanging in the middle of an actual emergency, like a legit crisis. It was actually her idea for us to meet up and talk, because I had told her, I was like, yeah, I'm quitting therapy. I'm done. She's like, no, don't quit. Let's talk. I don't usually come in on Saturdays, but I'll meet you in there on Saturday. I'm like, okay, cool. Saturday morning, I get up and I was already like frustrated, in a bad mood that day because of everything that was just going on with me mentally and emotionally. And then also my dog was sick. So I was trying to get her a vet appointment and get her in to be seen. And I'm trying to get myself in to be seen. I legit sat in this parking lot for her, waiting on the counselor to get there for 30 minutes. 30 minutes, not so much as a phone call or nothing from her. So I sent her an email because I didn't have her phone number. Like, I only had the number to her office. I didn't have like her cell phone number or anything like that. I get it. Patient confidentiality, all of that stuff. Um, but she should have at least had like a Google Voice number with her patient's names and numbers saved in there in case of emergency like that. So I sent her an email and told her I had been waiting for 30 minutes and that I was leaving. So shortly after I left, email came through from her saying that she had overslept. And I know some of you may be thinking, like, okay, Angel, you could have cut her a little slack. You know, she doesn't usually people on Saturday. She made an exception for you. Like, she overslept. It's normally. But no, this was not the first time that she had been late to an appointment. During appointments, there had been times that she actually forgot, like, things that we had talked about because she didn't take notes during the appointment. And I don't know, all the therapists that I have, I don't know obviously, I don't know what anybody else's therapy experience is like unless they tell me. But all of the therapists that I have, they never actually take notes during the sessions. They do their notes later or whenever. I don't know how they do it. And it always really kind of mind boggled me because I'm like, you're seeing people back to back and you have no breaks in between and you're just remembering all of this stuff. But there are several appointments where she was like mixing me up with other patients with stuff. And I'm like, I never told you that. And I was like, I never went through that. That's not my story. She's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm mixing you up with somebody else. Like, I see a lot of patients. You got to cut me some slack, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. So her missing this appointment when I was like in the middle of this crisis, I was just like, yeah, I'm done. Like, because when it's your therapist, it hurts differently. You think that your therapist has it all together, or at least together enough that you feel comfortable with going to them. So I quit therapy. I went to therapy from April to August of 2019. And it took me a year to actually like even consider going back to therapy again because I was so skeptical and I didn't want to risk it again. And at that point, I was doubting the entire process. But finally, I did try again. And my next therapist lasted for 3 sessions. Could have been two, but I think it might have been three. Actually, I think one session was just the get to know you, see if we're type of fit thing. So this was actually during COVID. So it was virtual. My first therapist was in office. This one was virtual. And I think the virtual aspect of it played a part into it as well because I prefer it to be in the office. But I was like, I really want to get this therapy done. I'm fine with it. I'll do virtual. But what I was not okay with was her forgetting my information, especially after I told her this was a major turnoff for me and that I had had this issue with my last therapist. And it honestly just made me second guess therapy if I even wanted to do it. I told her about my experience with my other therapist and how it made me feel. And she assured me like multiple times that this was not how she operated and that she would be listening to me and all that. I was like, okay, y'all same experience. Like, the first time, I think the very first time that I talked to her, she had forgotten like half the stuff that we had, not even half the stuff, because we hadn't even talked about a lot of stuff. She had basically forgot what my reason was for coming to therapy in our first session after we had just had the get to know you, see if we're fit for each other a couple of days before. She forgot. I was like, okay. Second session wasn't much better, and I finally just emailed her before our third session. I was like, yeah, this isn't going to work out. It took me another year, but I finally found someone who actually listened to me, challenged me, and didn't just pretend to listen for 50 minutes. And even if she did just pretend to listen for 50 minutes, at least she remembered stuff. So obviously she was kind of listening. So if you're someone who's tried therapy and felt like it didn't help, like, you're not alone. If you've been hurt by a therapist or felt dismissed, you're not crazy for being cautious about it. But I do want to say that the right therapist can change your life. And you do have to be willing to keep looking until you find someone who sees you. Something that I didn't know the first time that I went to therapy was that your first therapist may not be your lifelong therapist. It may take you several times for you to actually find a therapist that works with you. And then also, you can outgrow therapists just like you outgrow anything else. Like, if you're going to see a therapist because you have really bad anxiety, like, let's say You have really bad anxiety, really bad depression, and like really bad OCD. And you're going to see a therapist who specializes in anxiety. Okay, cool. You have that therapist that specializes in anxiety. But once you get that under control, if that therapist doesn't deal with OCD or anything like that, you might outgrow your therapist. Or even if your therapist does deal in everything that you're dealing with, there still may come a point where you outgrow them, you outgrow their methods, their practices, what it is that they're doing, and you may need to move on to someone else, and that's fine. But if you've tried seeking therapy before and it didn't work out, I really do encourage you to try again, keep looking, check with people for referrals. Y'all know I love me some Google, like just look around and see. But I do want to talk about the other side of therapy, the part that people do not always want to admit, and that is that therapy is not a magic wand, y'all. You cannot just attend a few sessions and expect your whole life is going to shift without effort. Like, you can't do that. You have to show up and you have to do the work. And some of that work, it's ugly, it's uncomfortable, it's raw, it's real. It will make you dig deep into your soul, deep inside of yourself to figure out what is going on. It's sitting in your own silence and realizing that sometimes you've been the problem in the situations. It's also realizing that healing might mean boundaries and boundaries might mean loss. And I know that doesn't really sound all that fun and great, but it is so freeing, y'all. Therapy is like going to the gym for your emotions, like a workout for your emotions. Your therapist is your trainer, but you still have to do the reps. Your therapist can tell you all day long until, you're blue, until they're blue in the face that you need to do 10 reps or rest for 90 seconds and then come back and do another 15 reps, but they can't make you do them. You have to do them yourself. Your therapist cannot heal you. They can give you the tools you need to heal yourself, but only you can heal yourself by doing the work. They can guide you, they can challenge your thinking, they can hold space for your tears, and they can call you out. But the actual growth, that's on you. And that was one of the things about my last therapist is that she actually called me out. Like, she would let me know, like, hey, Angel, think you were the issue in this situation here. Like, you really need to look at it. Like, and I'd be like, oh, you know what? I don't like you right now. She's like, well, that's fine because you'll be back here again next week. So you can not like me all that you want to, but it is what it is. So that's what you need. But you honestly have to be willing to do the work. I just also want to be clear because this is something I needed to hear at one point in time in my life, that it's okay to need therapy. It's okay to not have it all together. It's okay to say that I can't do this by myself. Like, going to therapy is not taboo. Going to therapy does not mean something is wrong with you. Going to therapy means that you have realized that there are things that you need to work on or things that you need to heal from. And now you're putting in the work to do it. It does not make you weak by any means. We live in a culture that says you have to grind through it, pray it away, be strong. But strength isn't about pretending that you're not hurt. It's about knowing when to say, hey, I need help. And you can love Jesus and need therapy. It is perfectly fine. Like, it's not a one or the other type things. You can be a high achieving person and you can have days where you can fall apart. You can be the one everyone leans on and still need someone to lean on yourself. As they say, check on your strong friends because those are the ones that are struggling. So if you've been putting off making the first or even the next appointment, maybe you already went and you scheduled your consultation and you're like, this therapist is going to work for me. And then you just dropped the ball and you never went back to schedule the appointment because you were scared. Maybe this is your sign, not because it'll fix everything, but because you deserve that support. You deserve to heal because self care is more than just a face mask and a nap. Although y'all know I love me a good nap, but it is about doing the hard work, the healing, the work that brings you peace. And I promise that nap will feel much better after you do this. I'm encouraging you, if you've been hurt before by a therapist or anybody, believe me, I get it. I understand it. And if you're starting over, that is great. I'm proud of you. Hit that Google search, talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to whoever, and get like one of the best forms of self care, and that is therapy. All right, y'all. Until next time, keep glowing boldly and living purposefully. Are you loving the Modco podcast? Head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star rating and review. This helps others to find the show and gets the show listed in the recommendations section. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the episode and that you're able to gain something from it. Talk to you next time. Thank you to Chris Leonard for the music for this week's episode.